Let's quickly talk about EIN only, startup business loans. In today's conversation, we want to compare Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and Boeing Employees Credit Union. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweet Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's discussion, I want to compare and contrast Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and Boeing Employees Credit Union, BECU, when it comes to providing EIN only startup business loans. And it's very important to understand that when we speak about EIN only startup business loans, we first need to understand the three things. There are three things we need to understand. What is a startup? A startup is a young company founded by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or service and bring it to market. Okay, so that's a startup. And so basically, you have startups is a company that just started and they've been in business for less than 3 months, some cases 6 months. And a startup is an entrepreneurial venture in search of enough financial backing to get off the ground. And financial institutions, including credit unions, have a platform for those startups to actually develop. That's number one. What is a very young company? A very young company is a company that has been in operation for less than 2 years. Okay, so unlike a startup, a very young company has a viable business model and may have started generating revenue and a positive bottom line, okay? And a very young company may or may not have established business credit, but it certainly has a steady flow of business, a growing customer base, and solid suppliers. And this is important because for a credit union, which is not a for-profit financial institution, credit management is quintessential. Right? So they're usually risk averse. So you have to really do things smartly if you want to get the loan you need, right? And the third element of this trifecta is EIN. So an EIN means employer identification number. It's just a unique number you get from the government, from the IRS. It's sort of like your company's social security number. So in addition to your EIN, you would need things like business permits and licenses, business plan, financial statements for the last 3 years, business tax returns, personal tax returns, social media accounts, media mentions, if any. You're going to have to package all of these things. You're going to have to attach this information to the application package that you will submit to Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, or BECU. Another thing I want you to pay attention to is the loans, right? So we are referring to EIN only, startup business loans. What is the typology of business loans that credit unions such as Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and Boeing Employees Credit Union offer? So we have term loans. So this is a common form of business funding for startups. So you get a lump sum of cash upfront, which you then repay with interest over a predetermined period. This is pretty easy, right? This is pretty straightforward. You have SBA loans in some cases. That could be a great, I would say, a great source of cash for qualifying startups and very young companies. And then we have business lines of credit. So this is a business line of credit provides access to funds up to your credit limit, which could be very fantastic for a startup, right? Because you might need the cash and you only pay interest on the money you have drawn. And a business line of credit for a startup can provide more flexibility than a term loan. And you also have an equipment loan. This could be good if you need, let's say, to buy equipment and you don't have the cash for it as a startup or a very young company. This is a great opportunity. You also have invoice factoring and invoice financing. Those are two types of, I would say, collateralized loans that really revolve around your accounts receivable, right? And if you are a startup or a very young company, if you are a startup, you may not qualify for this because you don't have sales yet, right? If you are a very young company, you might have some accounts receivable. But either way, I'm just giving you the typology, the different types of EIN only, startup business loans, so you have an idea. You also have merchant cash advances. You have, this is great also, this is based on your credit sales or your debit sale, your credit card sales and your debit card sales. You can also qualify for personal loans. You also have business credit cards. So I'm just giving you an idea of the types of loans that you might qualify for. You can even get like micro loans, really. So our preference, collateralized loans such as equipment financing and invoice factoring, they're great because they're easier to get for a business with no operational history. Before we get into the actual review here, please check out this short video about our loan evaluation approach. It tells you the rigorous methodology we have in place to review, categorize, and list EIN only startup business loans on this show. Okay, now let's get into the actual review here. So let's start with Navy Federal Credit Union. Folks, we are speaking about EIN only, startup business loans, and we are comparing and contrasting Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and BECU, okay? So with Navy Fed, you have a great constellation of small business financing solutions that can help you, your startup, reach new heights, okay? Whether you are a startup or you are an established business or a very young company, you will find something from Navy Fed. And here you have different types of loans. So you have real estate loans up to $10 million. You have business lines of credits. The funding here oscillates between 35K and 500,000. You have also another type of, you have business vehicle loans. You have vehicle and term loans. You also have, with Navy Fed, you also have commercial vehicle loans. This is very important to understand. Now, some of those loans require personal guarantee, but you should be able to bypass that if you work with Navy Fed, if you have an account with them and you talk to someone. Do not apply for those loans online. You want to walk to a branch. You want to sit with the Navy Fed representative and you can have a conversation with the person. For example, in some cases, they might ask for a personal guarantee when it comes to a business line of credit. They might also ask for a personal guarantee when it comes to a real estate loan, okay? It really depends upon the amount you are requesting. If you're just requesting 10 grand or 35 grand or whatever, they might actually approve the loan or the line of credit without personal guarantee. But if you're asking for the maximum, let's say you're asking for $500,000, then yeah, things becomes a little complicated because you are a startup. You have no operational history yet. And so they might look at things a little more, I would say, with a risk averse lens. Okay, so this is something you need to think about. And I also want to talk about the fact that you constantly, throughout the loan application process, you want to talk to someone before, during, and after. So once you submit the loan application, please, you want to follow up. You want to contact your Navy Fed loan officer. You want to ask questions. If they have questions for you, if they request additional information, do not ghost them. You want to respond ASAP, okay? Because with Navy Fed, they are very fast, depending on the location of your business, depending on the cycle they're in terms of the loans, because sometimes they're very busy, sometimes they're not as busy. So you really want to respond fast. In terms of application, how do you apply for an EIN only startup business loan with Navy Fed? So first of all, you got to be a member, right? You have to be a Navy Fed member. So membership in Navy Fed Credit Union is easy, even if you're not affiliated with the military. So to join Navy Fed Credit Union, you'll need to be a current or retired member of the Armed Forces, a Department of Defense civilian employee, contractor or retiree, family of current members, including parents, grandparents, siblings, grandchildren, and household members are also eligible. If you have no military affiliation at all, either biologically, professionally, or geographically, you just have to contact them. You want to contact Navy Fed at 1-877-418-1462. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, and they'll just take care of you. They'll tell you how to qualify. Okay, even if you are already a Navy Fed member, you also have to become a business member. Okay, this is important. So let's quickly go through the application form. So you can see on the screen here. I want to go with you through the step by step. So number one, you can see the first screen here. They're asking for the type of loan requested, right? You put the amount, you put the loan you want. We chose the term loan, and you have to put the information about the business member here, right? So you put your address, your account number, your federal tax ID number, your EIN, your address, your email, the type of business you're in, your website, all that kind of stuff. You can see on the screen here. Next, you want to look here. You want to have an idea of what they call outstanding business application. Okay, so if you have an existing creditor, you want to mention that, the type of loan, the original amount, the balance owed, the monthly payment, the maturity date. This is important. And you want to put other business bank account that you have. And next, we want to talk about the business owner information. So you want to talk about yourself, the founder. You want to talk about your assets, your liability. So this is your liabilities. This is about your personal financial statements. You can see on the screen, they want to have your assets, your debts, and they want to give you, and the system will give you automatically your net worth. Remember, net worth equals assets minus liability. Next, you want to pay attention to the business owner information again. So this is the next section. So you have an idea of if there is another owner. That's when you have to fill this out. So this is the same info as indicated in number one. We have put we have a number two and number three, because if you remember, we put 3 beneficial owners on the first page. So if you are a single owner, then the system won't generate 2 extra pages for you. Okay, so we move on. And then you have to, so we have the screen here where they talk about the equal credit opportunity notice. The next one, they give you agreement and disclosures. And then here you have to sign. So this is the page where you have to sign and date. So complete the application form and beneficial owner form if required. You want to print them out, and you want to sign with a pen. Digital signatures are not accepted. Then you want to scan the signed documents and submit online. Okay, I'm showing you where you have to submit it. And that's it. So for requests greater than $50,000, please call 1-877-418-1462. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still comparing and contrasting Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and BECU. And of course, we are talking about EIN only, startup business loans with bad credit, fair credit, no credit, doesn't matter. EIN only. Let's now talk about America's Credit Union. And with America's Credit Union, you also have a constellation of loans. And let's go through the loans that you could qualify for if you are a startup or very young company. First, you have business loans. So those are the regular loans that you know about, right? So you have the term loans. You also have the business line of credit. The limit here up to $250,000. You have the commercial real estate loan up to $10 million. The construction loan up to $10 million. The term loan, as I said before, up to $500,000. And it's very important to understand that to apply for a business loan, basically things work a little differently with America's Credit Union. To start your business loan application, you want to submit your information on the form you can see on the screen here, and you can call them at 253-591-6881. Okay, so to apply for a business loan, you just need to fill in your info, your company name, your first name, last name, your phone number, your email, and what kind of the kind of state your business is in, and put some comments, submit everything, and somebody will get back to you. They also have SBA loans. The amount here is variable. The maximum amount is variable. So when it comes to SBA loans, they have everything from SBA 504. They have SBA 7. One thing I want to say clearly here, folks, is that whether you want to apply for an EIN only business loan or an EIN only, startup business line of credit, commercial real estate, construction loans, and whatever the loan is, make sure that you are able to provide accurate and complete financial statements so you can back up the amount you are requesting. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are requesting $250,000 in as a EIN only startup business line of credit. You should be able to explain why you need 250,000 and not 50 grand or 100 grand. You need to back it up. Very important. I want to quickly talk a little bit about the SBA loan program at ACU. If you have any information, if you have any question or any comments, or you want to ask for any kind of information, you want to contact them, or you can just visit your local branch. 253-591-6881. The reason why I'm just emphasizing this is that ACU, America's Credit Union, is known all over the country as a great SBA lender, specifically for very young companies, established companies, and in some cases, startups. Okay, and in terms of requirements, they just ask for all kinds of loans that you want to get with ACU. They're asking for 3 years of file tax returns at the personal level, but also at the business level, if applicable. 3 years of filed financial statements. Okay, if you are filing financial statements with some regulators, they want to know about that. So your financial statements. Okay, and when we speak about financial statements, we are speaking about the 4 financial statements, not just the 3 that most folks are used to. People are used to the balance sheet, the income statement, and the statement of owner's equity. But there is a 4th financial statement, and that's called the statement of owner's equity, and that one also needs to be filled. And if you want to give ACU a clear idea of your business operation, you might want to include that. But the cool thing here is that once you reach out to them, they will let you know what they need from you. And to start your loan application, to start your business loan application, you need to submit your information on the screen. You need to submit your information. I've already told you that. But the cool thing here is that you also need to become a member because, hey, America's Credit Union is a credit union, right? And credit unions, you need to become a member. And what is the membership eligibility here? Anyone living in the Pacific Northwest is eligible to join ACU. So members of the Pacific Northwest Consumer Council, they do qualify. Members of the Armed Forces, active, retired, and reservist, those qualify. If you are civilian personnel and relative of those members also, you qualify, okay? One thing I want to say here is that if you don't live in the Pacific Northwest, don't worry about anything. Members of the Association of the United States Army, AUSA, qualify. And you can actually join AUSA very easily. I don't care if you live in New York or you live in Texas or you live in Connecticut, whatever. You can join AUSA, and through your membership, through your AUSA membership, you could qualify for ACU membership. Okay, so AUSA is the Army's premier professional association and host of the largest land power exposition in the United States. And AUSA is open to everyone, including all ranks and components, whether you have a relationship with the U.S. Army or simply want to honor those who serve. I want to talk to you now about BECU, folks, Boeing Employees Credit Union, one of our favorite credit unions on this show. And the cool thing here is that and again, folks, I am speaking to you about a comparison and contrasting. So we're doing a compare and contrast between Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and BECU. And of course, we are speaking about EIN only, startup business loans, okay? And the cool thing about BECU is that they have a lot of loans also for startups and very young companies. So you have term loans. So they have a business equipment term loan. Here, the loan will range from $10,000 to $250,000. The APR, very low, 363%. That's the minimum. And so you have, so that's that. You also have another type of loan, and this is what they call business vehicle loan. All right, this is pretty good. And the vehicle loan, so this can be, so their vehicle loans provide financing options to fit your budget, offering competitive rates, no origination fee, and financing up to 100% of the vehicle purchase price. And this is kind of cool because they cover not only new autos, but also used autos. Okay, and one thing you also need to know is that they also have unsecured lines of credit. So for the unsecured line of credit, this the amount could range from 2,500 to 10,000. Actually, $9,999.99. So the APR here 9.25%, and then they have unsecured line of credit from 10,000 all the way to 100,000, and the APR is 5%. They also have commercial real estate. Here, loans are available from $250,000 to $15 million. Okay, this is pretty good. And they also have small business administration loans. This is really good also. And membership eligibility with BECU, very, very easy. What you'll need to you need to be a member of BECU, right? So what you will need to open a business banking account, the thing here is that you need to come prepared. So first you need to set up you need to schedule actually an appointment with a business consultant, a BECU business consultant, and you need to go to the meeting. You need to bring your business membership application. You need to bring your certification of beneficial owner for legal entity members, right? And this is actually required for corporations, LLCs, and partnerships. You need to have your personal identification, driver's license, passport, or government issued ID. You need to have your EIN or social security number. And you need to have also your NAICS code, okay, your NAICS code. And I just want to show you real quickly, as you can see on the screen, for business applications and forms, we're showing you right now the kind of information they need. So they might need business. If you go to this website, if you go to the link that we have on the screen here, becu.org/support/business-forms, you would see all kinds of information that actually apply to the kind of business you have. So they have business membership for corporations, LLCs, and partnerships, business membership for sole proprietors, business credit cards, business term and vehicle loans, all that kind of stuff. All right. And one thing I want to say here is that I want to show you right now on the screen. You can see here on the screen, please look here. One thing that's very important to understand is that you need to just fill out, print, and bring the applicable form plus identification documents to your nearest BECU neighborhood financial center. If you don't happen to live in Washington State, where BECU is located, you can call them. You can call a representative over the phone, and they'll take care of you. Remember that you don't have to live in Washington State to qualify. BECU is I'll speak about that later on, but BECU is a nationwide credit union, and they cover the whole United States, so there's no problem. But one thing I want to say here is that I want to show you on the screen right now. Do you see the business loan application checklist? This is important. I want you to pay attention to this, folks. This is important. So you can see, we're going to leave this on the screen for a while, what you need to bring. Okay. And in terms of business membership eligibility, you have eligibility requirements. You have business location. If the business is in Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho, that's fine. If it has a Boeing affiliation, it's fine. But there are other partner affiliations. So you just have to be, the easiest is to be a donor or member, employee, volunteer, or retiree of an organization called KEXP. KEXP, KEXP. If you donate $5 to that organization, you're in. Remember that some industries are excluded from a loan at BECU. So internet gambling, marijuana dispensaries, money services, payday loans, check cashing, all that kind of stuff, they don't qualify. Okay, so you will not qualify here. And one thing I want to say very clearly here is that I want to show you on the screen right now the application form for BECU. You can see on the screen here. Okay, let's just get right into it. So you can see on the first screen set here, they're asking for the amount you want, the collateral that you want to put up for this loan. Here we put accounts receivable, the purpose of the loan, working capital. So they want to have more information about the business. So that will be the name of the business, the date the business was established. This is important. The date the current ownership was established. What they want to do is they want to actually reconcile this data to the data in the statement of owner's equity. This is another financial statement. And they're asking you for your federal identification number. So that's your EIN, your tax your federal tax identification number, your EIN, right? They also want to have your your state unified business identifier number. This don't you can leave this blank. This is something that is unique to the state of Washington. So if you live or if your business is located, say in West Virginia or New York or Maine or New Hampshire, you can leave the SUBI case, that section, blank. And they're asking you for your business structure. So do you have an LLC? Do you have a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or a corporation? And the business type, you got to put which kind of industry you're in, your NAICS code, your annual sales, your net income. And they want you to describe your business. This is important. They want to have a better idea of what your business is, right? So this is kind of important. And so yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. So they want you to put your email. On the next slide here, I'm just showing you what the UBI is. I was just telling you this before. So this is something that is idiosyncratic to the state of Washington. So don't worry about it. The UBI, the Unified Business Identifier, is a standard 9-digit sequential number used by all state agencies to uniquely identify a business entity. And here we are speaking about Washington State. Okay, so if you're not in that state, don't worry about it. Let's move on to slide number 2 for the application. So they want to have business owner information, your name, your social. This is EIN only, but this is an EIN only business loan for startups and young companies. But you have to put this just in case. Okay, it's for identification purposes. They want you to put your personal address, your whatever the state where you live, all that kind of stuff. And then the next slide, they want to have something. It's called auto payments from BECU accounts, and you want to have this. Even though they put optional, if desired, you want to select option and account. You want to have this. You want to have you want the payment to come from your BECU business account. That way you can benefit from how do you call this? Auto pay. All right. And so yes, you just sign and date the form. All right, let's talk about decision now, folks. So I have compared and contrasted three great players when it comes to EIN only startup business loans. Okay, so we have compared and contrasted Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and Boeing Employees Credit Union, BECU. So which one to choose? It really depends. At the end of the day, there is a plethora of criteria you need to pay attention to when it comes to choosing the EIN only startup business loan that you need. For example, when you have a Navy Fed, you have up to $10 million. Obviously, Navy Fed wins when it comes to the loan amounts, the generosity of loan amounts, right? So with Navy Fed, you have a lot of loan products, but the amounts are larger, from commercial real estate to personal to business term loans to business lines of credit. The choice is just diverse. And when we speak about, for example, when we speak about America's Credit Union or BECU, the loan amounts are smaller. What we love with BECU is the fact that, Navy Fed is a giant. They are a behemoth. So it's a little tough to have some kind of a personalized service, if you will. But with BECU, they're smaller and they're able to have a conversation with you. They are closer to their clients based on our analysis. And the same applies to America's Credit Union. They're smaller. Obviously, the loan amounts are also smaller. And Navy Fed could be competitive sometimes when it comes to EIN only, startup business loan application and approval. So if you don't qualify for a loan with Navy Fed, why don't you try one of those two, right? BECU or America's Credit Union. One thing I also want to say here is that it really depends on the states where you are. Okay, obviously, all these three players, Navy Fed, America's Credit Union, and BECU, they cover the whole United States, including Hawaii and Alaska, because sometimes credit unions and banks, for that matter, don't want to cover states that are not on the continent, so to speak, right? So you have Alaska and Hawaii. Sometimes they don't cover them, but those three players today, they do cover them. So the question will be, if you live in the states where Navy Fed is more present, or America's Credit Union is more present, they have more branches, then it might make sense to go with that particular credit union. Okay, so at the end of the day, the choice must come from you. It must depend on the loan amount that you need. It must depend on how quickly you need the loan, and also your location. So, folks, our pick in today's conversation is BECU, Boeing Employees Credit Union. So the recap here is BECU 10/10, Navy Fed 10/10, America's Credit Union 8.5/10. Even though there is a tie between BECU and Navy Fed, we chose to give a very slight, tiny slight edge to BECU because sometimes with Navy Fed, the loan approval process can be very long. And Navy Fed tends to require personal guarantees too much and too often in our view. Whereas BECU is a little more, I would say, a little more flexible. So this is why we give a little tiny edge to BECU over Navy Fed. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.